Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the second part of the Superman 2 review. Today we're going to be talking about the Richard Donner cut, and before we talk about this, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the television version, and we're going to be doing a comparison between the Richard Donner cut and the theatrical cut. Um, so really quickly, let's talk about the television version. Now, when the Richard Donner cut was announced and when it came out, people were getting excited about the fact that it was because many people thought that this was all brand new footage. Um, More of the diehard fans actually already saw some of these clips or some of the footage through the ABC television version, which came out, I believe, in '83. Um, which has scenes not in neither of these, but also had scenes which are included in this. Um, um, so, Unfortunately, the TV version, unlike the TV version for Superman the movie, uh, the TV version for Superman 2 has not been released on any kind of physical media yet, which I think is a shame. Um, I really wish it could, or maybe at some point, maybe Warner Brothers might decide to release the rest of the Christopher Reeve films in 4K along with their TV versions, and maybe for the international version. I don't know. That might be nice, but you know, we'll kind of figure. We'll wait for that, and then we'll go on from there. So really quickly before I start talking about the film, let's go over the DVD release that I have here. So this is a one disc, I can't speak, one disc edition of the film, and I believe that's how all versions of this on DVD came. It was just one disc. So there's the front. Sorry about the shine. That's the spine. There's the back. Special features wise, it has an introduction by director Richard Donner, commentary by director Richard Donner and creative consultant Don Mankiewicz, new featurette Superman 2, the restoring the vision, and deleted scenes. Now, the documentary, well, I wouldn't call it. I don't know what to call it. If I should call it a documentary or not, because it's only like 13, 14 minutes long. Um, it basically just talks about the whole behind the scenes about how this cut came to be, with interviews by Richard Donner and Tom Mankiewicz, Michael Thaw, who was the editor for both this and the special edition for Superman the movie, and I believe that's it. And it just has footage from um, of the whole process of how they made this version. Um, so the new scenes in this film, in this cut of Superman 2. Uh, yeah, I want to know about this. Um, the whole General Zod and the crew escaping is different in this version because in the theatrical version, which actually I should probably set up here. Um, Here's it's hard to have it set up like this. Um, so how the villains escape in the theatrical cut, it was basically the whole intro sequence was reshot to have a terrorist attack in Paris. The Eiffel Tower, and Lois Lane um, gets roped into it because she's an eager reporter, and she gets caught onto the elevator, which has the bomb inside. Superman saves her and launches the elevator into space, which causes an explosion, which releases uh, the Krypton criminals from the Phantom Zone. Now, in the Richard Donner cut, um, it has been replaced to be intercut with the ending of the first film. So now in this version, um, the missile that Superman launched into space actually went all the way to where General Zod and the other two were in the Phantom Zone. It exploded and it released them. Um, that one's probably the only like actual kind of okay change. It didn't really actually change the film. It just changed how the villains escaped. So I think that was probably the only good change in the film. Um, the way that Lois finds out about Superman's identity is completely different between the two versions. So in the theatrical cut, the first attempt is when Lois jumps into the river and Clark saves her. And then the actual reveal is when Clark trips over a lion thing. It was like it has fur and it has a lion head or something like that. And he trips, which drops his glasses in the fire. He picks them up and he's like, "I'm fine, Lois, I'm fine." And she grabs his hand and realizes there's no burn mark on the hand. And so he has to come clean about it, which I think it works. Um, in the Richard Donner cut, the first attempt was actually in the beginning of the film when after, I believe, actually, no. It wasn't after the Eiffel Tower sequence because that's all new. So after the title sequence, after the whole explanation about how Zod and the others escaped, um, it cuts to the Daily Planet, and Lois, thinking that Clark is Superman, decides to jump out of a like 30-story window of the Daily Planet and hopes that Superman saves her. What? It makes honestly no sense at all why she does this, except for the fact that they're trying blow Superman's cover. Now the second one I think is personally a little bit better than the first one, but not that much better. Um, so this was taken from a screen test of Lois Lane, and apparently so now it's Lois Lane has gone out of the shower. Apparently she's talking to Clark, and then she pulls a gun from her from her dresser and shoots Clark with a blank. Now, that's like ultimate psycho mode right there. I mean, the first time it was like trying to commit suicide. This time is full psycho mode. Like, really? And granted, it does blow Superman's cover, but still, why would you shoot your coworker? Just take that out of context, and you would just be asking yourself why. Why would you shoot your coworker for no reason? Um. Uh. It's like, and yeah, it's a blank, but still, that's technically shooting your coworker with a bullet. Ugh, it makes me infuriated. Um. Oh, it's just that scene. It it makes me infuriated every time I have to mention it. The ending between the two is also different. Um, so in the theatrical cut, after Superman um, destroys the villains, he leaves the Fortress of Solitude after talking to Lex Luthor, and takes Lois back to her apartment, and then the next morning, um, her and Clark start talking, and she's like, it's a very good scene between Margot and Chris. That like she's like, I don't even know what to call you, and then yeah, it does have the magic kiss, but I personally prefer it over the Richard Donner cut. Because at least it's like an actual kind of, it's stupid, but it's also it's a movie. well, one, it's a movie because nothing's real, so it can fly. Get it? Um, but two, it could actually be somewhat kind of believable that Superman could actually kind of have that power because it's kind of like in world, like an in world kind of power, as opposed to spending the world back and altering history, which is what happens in this, and I'm really angry about that. But let's start from the beginning. So after Superman destroys the villains, he and after talking to Lex, he leaves the Fortress of Solitude, and then flies over to like a little cliff area and destroys the Fortress of Solitude. Um, so that means if if Lex did not get out, or if like the police didn't arrest him, technically that means that Superman just killed Lex Luthor. Um, okay then. Okay then, Superman, you just go Superman versus the Elite on us and just, just kill everyone now? Quote unquote. Well, I mean, it's kind of ambiguous in this one along while in Superman versus the Elite, it's flat out stated that they didn't die, but whatever. So the point is that it's kind of it's like, did Superman just like kill Lex Luthor? And then after that, it doesn't really matter anyway because he spins back time anyway and just completely erases this film from continuity. It's so dumb. I don't get why they did it. Ugh, it's infuriating. So yeah, those are all the scenes that I can name off the top of my head that were added into the Richard Donner cut. Any other changes? Well, the title sequence is different between these two. I would assume they changed it for the Richard Donner cut so that it could match more with the first film than how this one compared to the first one. Um, the soundtrack sounds more like the first film than it did with Ken Fortin's original. So it kind of sounds like to me that John Williams came back to do the score for this, which even says uh, right there, if I can keep my camera focused. But yeah, like right around there. I think right right there. Okay, hold on. Right there. Um so yeah, right, I believe right here it says music by John Williams. So yeah, he did come back for this, and he reuses the music cues from the original second soundtrack, but adds like his little John Williams um like, I mean, he makes it his own version. But unfortunately, I don't think besides bootlegs, or I don't know if there's even a bootleg of the soundtrack out there, but officially there's no soundtrack of the Richard Donner cut. Uh, Unlike the theatrical cut of two, and then later three, which they get a soundtrack release by La La Land Records. Um, but um, but yeah, and and yeah, I think that's really it for the changes between the Richard Donner cut and the theatrical cut of Superman 2. So, so yeah, I think that's really I think that's really about it for this episode of Russell's movie reviews and the second part of the Superman marathon. Hope you guys enjoyed. Uh, and actually, we'll hold up a second before we go to the end card. Um, wrong one. Set this right here. Um, so yeah, Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned tomorrow for Superman 3 and 4 for those reviews, and see you guys in those ones. Live long and prosper. Out.